Oh, boy. Happy Monday. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. So happy to have you guys here. I am not necessarily excited to be in this studio today. Wait, what is happening behind the scenes right now? Is this on camera for people who are watching on Zone TV?
We're paying debts. Go ahead, Bert.
We are paying debts indeed. If you are watching on Zone TV, you see one Robert Lee Walsh drawing a Sharpie mustache onto Lucas Panzica's face. The shape it appears to be, is that coming out of his nostrils?
Pretty good.
I don't... It looks like a Captain Hook, like, handlebar mustache. Is that how I would describe this?
It's like the villain that traps the female on the railroad tracks.
It's more on his cheeks than it is on his lip.
Well, it's an outstanding mustache. That's why. You ever seen anybody with a bad-looking mustache not reach their cheeks?
That's true. If a mustache is out to your cheeks, it's probably a very powerful mustache.
What I'm seeing on your face, though, does not connote power to me.
Is that not the vibe you're getting?
Laugh like that again. That's how I feel you should be laughing.
It's like a Wario mustache.
You look like a clown. You look like, which is fitting because we are paying debts today, kids. Lucas Panzica has to get a Sharpie mustache, and he and I are splitting a Packy one-chip challenge, ghost pepper, scorpion pepper, whatever the hell that is, chip. Now, the consequences of this, I have spent basically the last 2 hours researching because I had forgotten. I was living in blissful ignorance this weekend. It's like, oh, I'm reading this stuff on ESPN about what other people in the league are anonymously saying about Will Levis. That'll be interesting to talk about Monday. Oh, my God, look at Hani Mukhtar and Nashville SC. Hani.
Boo.
What happened? It's okay. I have an Uncle Hani. It was going to happen.
I feel like you should have to eat the whole chip for that.
Well, here's the proposition that I'm considering because I feel like doubling down.
Oh.
What? What are you saying?
I will have none of this. Lucas, do not accept this.
I waited until Lucas had the Sharpie mustache on his face for me to say that I would like to double down. But I'm considering a double down situation. I'm not going to tell people what that is off the top because there is going to be a portion of this chip in some way, shape, or form consumed today by the two of us. Nobody is getting out of the one-chip challenge today, try as I might. I thought about calling in sick. I really did. Lucas reminded me that I had to do this about an hour before we came into work, before I got to work, and it has put me in a terrible headspace. I've been watching TikTok videos of people in just horrifying pain while they eat this thing.
Yeah, it's not great.
I have to work after we do it.
What do you mean you have to work? Like, you've played a Mickey.
Yeah, I don't get to go home like you do.
So maybe this is an interesting proposition for Lucas to consider if he can get out of the one-chip challenge today.
I don't like this at all.
Good.
We'll hear him out.
You're the only one who does.
We'll hear him out. What do you mean?
This is the one time in my life he's been on my side.
What are we doubling down on? You gonna eat 2 chips?
I am considering an entire chip at the end of the show today should something occur. Now, I'm going to wait before I tell you exactly what I need to take place, maybe about halfway through, maybe 11 o'clock.
But we have to agree to it. We have to know what it is before we agree.
Yeah, we can agree to terms. I'll have a hammered out proposition for you by 11 o'clock. Does that satisfy you today?
It needs to be on my desk.
That is satisfying to me.
Not 11:01, not 11:30, 11 o'clock.
It's not that I necessarily fear what's going to happen on the air because Lucas is right. We're going to do this. We're going to do this before the polls. We're going to try and suffer through the hot chip challenge while we do the polls because the polls aren't stupid enough on a regular basis. Why not make it an even bigger clown show? But the thing that I'm concerned about is the aftermath. Bert, you've done this.
I have. On draft night 2 years ago.
Why? For what purpose?
Just guys being guys, dudes being dudes.
I hate that. Is it not? Who does this to themselves? This is like when Jackass was a thing as a movie series.
Did you not do Jackass-like things with your friends?
All my buddies wanted to, and I'm like, no, I don't want to throw a bowling ball at my genitals. I don't want to do that.
You were the lame friend growing up.
Hell yes.
You guys never played bumper cars with shopping carts? Somebody's running you around. You got your knees to the front of that bumper car. Then wham!
No, I don't want to do that.
You never did anything like that.
Me and
Why the
me and
hell?
Bert were doing that yesterday at Kroger. Little Sunday fun day.
I cannot take him serious with this daggum mustache.
It just looks like two singular hairs curling.
I wanted to have more depth than that.
Could you go?
I don't think I'm satisfied. I don't.
Like a Frenchman? Should I have got him a baguette? What would you like me to do?
V-Love says it looks like I'm about to rob the Louvre.
It does play, the black Sharpie mustache does play well with your darker features, which makes you look like a bad guy.
He also has very prominent cheeks. Those things are poking out, man, and it kind of makes the mustache stick out a little better. I didn't notice how good of cheeks you had.
Do you have good
Thanks, buddy.
cheekbone
He
structure?
actually has both. He has good cheeks on both sides. He has a good little backside, too.
One of my best features.
No, we have talked about this. It's Lucas. Lucas has a tush. I don't know how we came to this conclusion, but this is a product of us spending too much time with one another. Either way, the hot chip challenge before the polls today. Now, there will be a proposition. It may result in me eating an entire chip right now, the deal on the table, because Emmanuel Forbes, the safety, went as a first-round draft pick to the Commanders. For whatever reason that we decided that we were going to make this bet.
He's a corner, and we do make the strangest bets.
That's right. The corner that went to the Commanders that now results in. And why do you have a mustache? Remind me.
Because the Cowboys did not draft a tight end at 26.
Why were you so strident about that? All of this could be easily have been avoided.
I was so sure of it.
If you have advice for us, the two of us today, before the one chip challenge at 12:45 Central Standard Time. 615-737-1045. This has not been cleared by HR. I feel like this is a violation. I'm going to try and sound like dog whistles about that and try and get out of it throughout the course of today. But we have 3 hours to do
I mean,
so.
it's like we're eating anything else, right? It's like lunch, except instead of a lunch, we just brought the one chip. It's like it'd be like if we brought hot chicken to work for lunch and suffer the consequences of that, which has happened.
This is nothing like that at all. There's a medical warning on this chip.
All right, don't say that because then some lawyer will come swooping in from corporate and tell us not to do this.
I think they just do it so kids don't have a easy way to sue them, where it's like, this is bad, kids, don't eat it.
I mean, I'm sure they're not concerned about this show that's regularly making cigarette smoking jokes.
Yeah, if neither of us are pregnant, I think we're good.
Bert.
I'm not eating the chip.
All clear?
615-737-1045. Corey in Hendersonville has chip advice. Hey, Corey.
Hey, guys, I've done this before, and first of all, I'll just say you can blame the Buffalo Bills for this because they took Dalton Kincaid one pick before the Cowboys, and I'm pretty sure Cowboys would have drafted Kincaid had he been there. My advice for you, I've done this before, do not drink water after you do it. The best thing to do is to drink milk.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, you may see it written on the box there, but there's like a challenge for like how long you can go after eating the chip before you drink something.
Oh, there's it's like 5 minutes, right? That's the standard time. Thank you for the call, Corey. It's 5 minutes. Now, so theoretically, that requires us eating the chip. By the way, I see every video that I see of people doing this, they have gloves on. They have like medical gloves on. Bert, I want gloves.
God, stop it. I don't even know where to get gloves at here. Like, what am I supposed to just put it in your
Figure
mouth?
it out.
Just put it in your mouth.
We do have milk. We have milk on standby.
You could dip your fingers into the milk and then hold the chip. That's your glove.
When did you purchase this milk? It's been several days.
It was last week on Thursday. So it's still in the date.
I want to know.
Chunky.
I want to see receipts of the expiration date of the milk.
It's stamped on there. I don't need a physical receipt, Buck. When's the last time you bought milk, dude? You can see the date on it.
Saturday. I bought milk on Saturday.
Cow or nut milk? Was it almond?
It was
sunflower?
It was oat.
Oat. What's an oat? Is that a legume?
I don't know the genus. I'm concerned. Is the larger part. Now, we're going to talk about Titan stuff. We're going to start doing Titans rookie prospect spotlights here today because rookie minicamp is this weekend, kids. And it's going to be a great time to get back out on the practice field to see these guys get a little work in. Will Levis, obviously, I think is probably going to be the headline coming out of everything because the quarterback position is always hyper-scrutinized, especially this particular quarterback situation. So we will start our Titans Rookie Prospect Spotlight with Peter Skoronsky and Jalen Duncan coming up next. There was a 3-hour delay for this last night. A little bit of shake it off. The Swifties were wild this weekend. We put it to a poll. Whoa. My volume is still on.
Your phone?
My laptop. I was pulling up the prospect profile that we have created for Peter Skoronsky and Jalen Duncan, and I forgot that my volume was still on from primetime last night. The Swifties were wild, though, this weekend. We're going to discuss what's the most reckless act we saw from a Swiftie this weekend. I don't know that there was any significant, hazards, like the zombie apocalypse that was that Atlanta video that I sent the two of you.
It honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it would be this weekend. I was actually able to kind of get around.
It's just, we do these things on a normal basis. It's just she is such a singular thing, right? People are in Nashville like that every weekend. But we'll talk about that later on. So prospect profile is what we're going to do here in just a little bit. We also have the one-chip challenge, the terms, because Emmanuel Forbes, the corner, was drafted in the first round. Bert bet Lucas and I that wouldn't happen. Lucas and I are splitting a Packy Ghost Pepper, Scorpion Pepper, one chip later on in the show. And also Lucas has a Sharpie mustache on his face because he was convinced that the Cowboys were going to draft a tight end in the first round.
Make the strangest bets.
They did not. So people are calling in, giving us advice. Before we get to Peter Skoronsky, let's go to Paul in Franklin. Hey, Paul. What's happening, my guy?
My old buddy, what's going on? Man, I got to ask you something, Buck. What are you doing this young man thing for, dude? That's a young man thing. Lord have mercy. When I was a young man, I'd eat hot peppers like that, man, and usually because I've done drank too much, Buck. That's a young man's game you're playing, Buck. But you know what, buddy? You're a young man. You'll get to it. I just got one thing to say to you. It's hot going in, brother, and it's going to be hot coming out, too. You know what I mean? God bless you, brother.
I miss Paul in Franklin.
Gonna need you to explain that one, Paul.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean.
No, but I want him to explain it specifically in Paul and Franklin's voice. That's why Paul and Franklin is always a good caller. It also delights me because it feels like I'm talking to Foghorn Leghorn. What are you laughing about?
Well, that's just that. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed a little. I say, boy. I got a little affinity for Foghorn. I love that guy.
That's because you also sound like a cartoon character.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
In the meantime, yes, I'm fully aware of the the ramifications of what we're going to do at 12:45 today, and I have a bet for Lucas to double down on this to give Lucas an out, to properly motivate Lucas, which is damn difficult to do on 90% of the occasions. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But since Titans rookie minicamp is coming up this weekend, we thought it'd be fun to every day in the 10 o'clock hour do a prospect spotlight, right? We haven't really dug in on any of these other players. We've talked a lot about Colton Dowell. We've talked a lot about Levis, right? Because those are the two buzzword positions, and obviously people's immediate reaction was going to be about wide receiver or lack thereof and a new quarterback. So today I thought it would be good to start with the first round pick, the offensive lineman, Peter Skoronsky, and Jalen Duncan to do the two offensive linemen, the two rookie offensive linemen to start with. And there's a lot of different things that I think that you can take the angle on. We've talked about this draft class, right? And the word that we would use to describe it, my word was functional. They are rebuilding on the offensive line. They have effectively done so. We will see what dividends that pays once the season goes on, and not just to start the year, but also in terms of have they improved their depth. Their depth was as big an issue as the rash of injuries that they had to their starters. And so that is the thing that I'm most curious about. Would we not say as a group that if you went, team by team, pre-draft, and you said, or just this offseason, prior to free agency, prior to personnel moves going down, would we have all not said that the biggest thing for the Titans to correct was the offensive line group this year? Yes?
Yes.
So they have done so not just in the draft that we're going to talk about specifically, but you have Andre Dillard, you have Daniel Brunskill, you have guys who were non-factors last year that you're curious to see if you can get anything out of them, Jamarco Jones being an example. You have a shuffling of parts where there's only two returning starters in Aaron Brewer, who right now projects as this team's center, and NPF at the right tackle spot. But everything else, from 3 frontline starters to the guys behind him, is largely going to be new. So how much better does Skoronski make them right out of the gate? Well, I think that's fairly obvious given the things that we have talked about with the pass protection in particular, and in prolonging Derrick Henry's career and prolonging the effectiveness of Derrick Henry, the offensive line in front of him has to be better. Now, the thing that was brought up on Friday's show that it at least made me just perk my head up a little bit, because I don't know why we haven't been talking about it this way, but it's not even been a consideration, at least in our discussions from 10 to 1. Nick Suss from the Tennessean came on here and said, I think Peter Skoronski is the left tackle till he's not. He's the best left tackle on the roster. Why should he stop being the best left tackle for this football team? Because Dillard wasn't good enough to beat out is he a project rugby player? Mailata? Jordan Mailata is the left tackle for the Eagles. He just got pretty well compensated in the last couple of seasons.
Yep, he's a converted rugby player.
Right, and I remember the draft when they took him, but, the former first-rounder was not good enough to be able to provide a starting presence on that really, really good Eagles offensive line, but couldn't crack the lineup and was good enough for Philadelphia to want to keep. They didn't move him at the trade deadline.
Mailata was a 7th-round pick the year before Dillard was a 1st-round pick.
And if I'm correct, I think Dillard had injuries his rookie year.
He did.
There has been injury that has derailed him, and it's possible that Andre Dillard lives up to some kind of potential here in Tennessee. We've talked about the opportunity cost of the contract that they gave him and what he's got here. Now, they were always going to move into this draft fortifying the offensive line beyond free agency. We knew that. But should we be talking about this in terms of Peter Skoronski against Big Ten defensive linemen, which I could make the argument is as talented of a position group in that conference as it is in the SEC? If Peter Skoronski is good enough to play left tackle in the second best conference in college football, should he immediately be underestimated coming to the pros and saying, okay, just because the arm length is not ideal, this guy has to play guard? Is Dillard's presence good enough for us to automatically assume that Skoronski's not the best left tackle on the football team? Because I think Nick is correct in saying that. Now, I don't know if that's the way that the coaching staff views this. That was something specifically that I asked Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon. That would have been Thursday night when they took him. Where do you see him? And they said, we see him on the offensive line, right? It's kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but basically we'll come out with a set group. We'll see how the competition works itself out through training camp when they can legitimately put on pads. And so there's a lot of time between now and then.
Which I think there's truth to that. That's what they did last year.
Yeah, that's how they figured out Radens very much wasn't a tackle.
Yeah, the competition last year very much figured out the starting 5 on the O-line going in.
I'm so interested to see. I'm so interested to see that portion of it, because we know that for them to be able to get anything that they want to accomplished this season or improved, that it has to start up front. It's not, it's not sexy. It's not as controversial or polarizing as quarterback and wide receiver, but it is critical to their success up front. So Skoronski, the biggest question is, what position is he? Where will they see him and where will he end up? Tackle is what he is at this point with all this college tape. He allowed just 6 total pressures on 474 pass blocking snaps. That was probably the most impressive statistic that I saw come out of the Peter Skoronski analysis. And that's specifically those pressure metrics are from Pro Football Focus. So how they assign pressures. You could probably find a different number, probably same ballpark on places like ESPN or Football Outsiders or any other website outlet that does pressures. But still, it's not a lot. He's good in pass protection. He's fundamentally sound. Footwork and hands are the 2 things that make him a viable option beyond the, physically overwhelming gifts that a lot of these offensive linemen have. Mailata's a good example of that, right? He's also somebody who happens to be a superior athlete, and just because he was unproven, he went in the 7th round. Now he's a starting left tackle for a Super Bowl contending Eagles team and only projects to be getting better at that position. I'm I'm interested to see how much of a difference one offensive lineman can make. Now, we know that there's going to be 3 new ones. And is there an immediate kind of comfort level or greater comfort level that you get from saying Aaron Brewer is a center this year and not a guard? Because it seems like people are just more comfortable with that thought, and I'm not certain why. I haven't seen Brewer like really excel. He's tough. He's the $2 steak thing, right? And then we all, as soon as that was a line that Mike Vrabel said at a press conference, and we saw Aaron Brewer play throughout the course of the season, the easy joke to make was, well, a $2 steak. The whole thing about a $2 steak is it's not very good. So, are we assuming a greater comfort level with Brewer at center than guard?
I think so.
Is that fair, or is that just something that's being done mentally?
I think he's had more experience there at this level. I think his size is more conducive to that position than at left guard, especially when you consider who he was. He was the starting left guard following up Roger Saffold, who is a mammoth of a human being.
And playing alongside Dennis Daly, who was a liability and not helped him, but hurt him on a recurring basis.
So it was a tough situation.
That's fair. Perhaps I have been too hard on Aaron Brewer, but that's the thing. How big a difference is one offensive lineman going to make? Now we're talking about a new left tackle, a new left guard, a new right guard, at minimum. That's the majority, right? You're changing out the Supreme Court basically at that point. These are not lifetime appointments. In fact, lately it's been a very, very open opportunity for whomever is available to play left tackle. But now they're trying to find a long-term plan.
And you are talking about a new center. I know Aaron Brewer was a starter on this team last year, but Ben Jones is gone, and that's a big piece of turnover.
I am considering this 4 new starters.
Yes. Yep.
That is the way that I prefer to look at it, but Aaron Brewer was a starting player for that offensive line last year. So, with that being said, Skoronski is somebody who I think is going to provide legitimate blue chip talent to this offensive line in a way that Lawan did in the early part of his career. Now, when you think about it, they really didn't get as many great years out of Taylor as I think people remember, right? Because what is very vivid in my memory is when I got down here, it was the year after Lawan was drafted. So 2015, Marcus Mariota's rookie year. And the whole thing about Lawan in that 15 season and 16 season, or in that 15 season rather, was do they need to draft Jack Conklin, Laramie Tunsil with the first overall pick in that draft, which ended up being a pick that they trade out of. LA took Jared Goff, Carson Wentz 2, and then John Robinson traded back up into the first from where they had traded down with LA to go up to 8th overall, select Jack Conklin, and then the conversation became, okay, can Conklin play left? Because people weren't sold on Lawan as a left tackle. And then, 3 straight Pro Bowl seasons and the whole thing. So it worked out. But it's not really as long of a time period as I think. You think 9 years of Taylor Lawan, you think Pro Bowl caliber player for at least, I think most people would probably say 6 of the 9 years. And it just really wasn't that, right? So they're trying to find a legitimate solution, and they think that they found one in Skoronski. Now, the question is, who is in competition for that right guard spot that Nate Davis just vacated? We are all assuming that Daniel Brunskill, who is a former San Francisco 49er, was given another, opportunity cost contract here in Tennessee because he's largely been a swing player. It almost reminds me of a Dennis Kelly scenario, right? So let's just make Brunskill Dennis Kelly from a couple of years ago. So Brunskill is somebody that we're assuming is just going to slot in at that right guard spot because he's experienced, because Mike Vrabel prefers to work with veterans anyway at this stage, or at least until, something pushes him to put a less experienced player into a position that they need them to play fast. Duncan is athletically one of the highest graded players at that position group from this draft class, even though he's a 6th-round pick. Now, there are scenarios I don't have the penalty numbers on him specifically, but he was a highly penalized player, specifically holding, if I remember correctly, at Maryland. So they get the offensive tackle from Maryland in the 6th round. And, whether or not people just say things about 6th round offensive linemen like, oh, he could probably be a guard at the next level if he doesn't pan out at tackle, because I feel like that's the analysis of a lot of these guys. Maybe it's true for a lot of these guys. But Jalen Duncan, Jamarco Jones, and Daniel Brunskill. I don't know who's going to end up being the best of those 3 players if Duncan is going to be versatile and be available to play multiple positions. I don't know who's going to come out the better for that through a training camp process. But I do think it gives them a variety of different options beyond the guys that we know, right? Because we're not talking about Ruse. We're not talking about Ruse. We're not really talking about Levin, right? But those guys matter in the depth of these things. Aaron Brewer was trotted out as the starting center when Titans players were made available last Wednesday, but it's not necessarily a safe assumption to just say, okay, Aaron Brewer has got the job over Corey Levin just because he came and did a press conference. I don't know how guys like Ruse and Levin are going to factor into this competition, if they're going to end up being a better group by mixing some of the parts that we haven't necessarily considered or a different projection than some of us might have in our heads on May the 8th. I'm fascinated to see the way that it works out. And I know that Skoronski gives them the best opportunity right out of the gate. And I think Duncan has legitimate potential. But I would rather see them take a player that has potential in the 6th round than the way that it felt like they've been doing at the top of the draft in the last couple of years, where, the whole thing that I was sold on with Caleb Farley is, but he's got incredible potential to work out at that position. I think Titans fans are largely tired of that word. It seems like a trigger at this point.
The penalty numbers for Jalen Duncan were 20 penalties over his final 2 seasons of college football.
That's not insignificant. So, Adam Weber says Duncan was pre-draft graded to be a 3rd-round pick. Titans may have got a steal. Yeah, but according to who? Like, that's I get what you're saying, and you might be right. I mean, he may end up being, what averages out to a 3rd-round pick offensive lineman, right?
Dane Brugler graded him to be a 4th to 5th rounder.
Okay. Now, Brugler is a good analyst in ways that I trust the scouting projections there.
He was Dane's number 11 tackle.
And Dane is also very, very connected to NFL teams, so he will have done his research about where somebody like that may have fallen on the average NFL team's board. I don't want to speak for Dane's process. I don't know it in good enough detail to be able to speak like that. But I will say that, pre-draft grades are all well and good. I don't know where these teams specifically had him graded, but what Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel now in this next-gen Titans situation clearly value from their offensive linemen is high-level athletic traits. And that is something that Skoronski is indicative of, Duncan is indicative of, and that Dillard has theoretically the potential to be.
In his summary of Jalen Duncan, Brugler writes, overall, Duncan has desirable athletic tools, but the continued issues with his technique, balance, and competitive makeup, especially for a 4-year starter, are worrisome for his NFL transition. His projection might be best inside to guard in a zone-based scheme.
Now, the competitive nature, oh my God, are we back to the does he love ball, Mike, era of questions? And listen, and for as dumb as those things sound, it's worth asking, because that was something, that ended up being the difference in Isaiah Wilson. He just didn't care enough. Like, that's a part of the evaluation that you can never account for. Sure, he grades out as a 3rd-round pick, but does he actually like this stuff?
Well, what did Vrabel say about Duncan? They had a great top 30 visit with Jalen Duncan, right? And he basically said, we need that guy that walked in this building on that visit to be the same guy that walks back in here. Paraphrasing, but that's what Mike Vrabel said after they took him.
Sure. And so that's incumbent upon the coaching staff. Do you feel like, and this is, again, the cost-benefit analysis that they're doing, is the player who's toolsy enough, athletic enough to really succeed at this level, but we don't necessarily know if he's going to be as committed as we need him to be. Is that worth us doing or us taking a chance on? What did Rand say that Vrabel had talked to him about? There are plenty of good people who have made bad judgment calls or made mistakes or something like that, and those can range from any number of things. So can Jalen Duncan show that he is legitimately committed to what it is that they're trying to accomplish down here, because it sounds like they like the potential enough of the player. But how much are you tired of trafficking in potential? It's kind of where we're at. So that's Peter Skoronski and Jalen Duncan. Tomorrow, we will take a look at Will Levis, and we'll go round by round with the Titans' rookie draft picks that will be in attendance for rookie minicamp this coming weekend. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Will Levis, though, in a different context. It seems that he may have announced which number he is going to wear, and I feel like it's kind of triggering to Titans fans. We're going to get into that coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. So we think we know what number Will Levis is going to wear for the Titans, but there's been some cryptic social media messaging about it. It's a number that's particularly triggering for Titans fans. And I thought it might be funny to ask the question for one of the polls. At Buck Rising is where you can vote on them. We'll update them at the end of the show, right before we do the Hot Chip Challenge. Are you prepared to hear my proposition, by the way, about said one chip?
Yes.
Okay, because we're going to talk about what number Will Levis looks like he might wear here in just a second, and whether that's a good idea for him or not. Are you either of you jersey number skeptics?
No, I am not a superstitious person at all.
Bert, you have to be.
I am a massive superstitious person.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So we will do this here in a second, but here's the thing, okay? We have to do the one chip challenge. Lucas and I are going to split one of these awful ghost pepper chips because we lost a bet around the NFL draft. We're going to do that at 12:45 today during the polls. Lucas is going to split this chip with me, but I would like to propose you an offer. Because we are talking a lot about the Titans draft class, and because in less than 2 weeks from Saturday, we are going to fly Greg Cosell down here from NFL Films. We're going to break down the entire draft class at the Hutton Hotel on May the 20th. Tickets available at 1045thezone.com. We're doing good with the ticket sales. Like I feel comfortable with where the numbers are at. But I feel like if I'm going to have to put myself through physical discomfort for the sake of this show, I feel like I want to get something out of this. Does that sound about right?
Go ahead.
If we sell 10 tickets to the Install live show during the show today by 12:45, by the time we get to the polls, I will relieve you of half of the chip. I will do the entire one chip challenge myself.
10 tickets.
10 tickets.
To
I
the
need
Install Live.
screenshots to be sent to us at Buck Rising on Twitter or on Instagram. That's an option too. I need to see receipts because I'm not doing this to myself without some benefit to me. Now, this also benefits you because it's going to be a great time. And the tickets are like $25. So I think that, I think this is a fair payoff for everybody. Even more so for the audience because what it results in is what they want more of, which is me in physical pain.
It's a win-win-win.
Win-win-win all around. Lucas wins.
Is there a little wiggle room with this?
What do you mean?
If there's 8 tickets purchased,
9 even?
No.
Got to be 10.
Maybe you just make Lucas eat the corner of the chip.
I want double digit. If it was like a lot of money, I would feel bad asking for 10. But I think I'm completely comfortable asking with tickets $25 a pop. I think that's a completely fair transaction.
What if they sell?
Everybody. This is kind of like OnlyFans, except for pain.
What about 5 VIP tickets? 2 VIP, 3 VIP tickets.
If we sell,
how many? What's the math work out to? How many VIPs?
Well, it's $75 for a VIP ticket.
So that's worth 3 times. That's 3 times the value.
So we could do
hypothetically 2 VIPs, 4 tickets.
2 VIPs and 4 tickets is reasonable.
Or just 10 tickets total.
Or 3 VIPs, 1 ticket.
I need the total value to be 10 tickets.
Okay. So,
or 1 VIP,
okay,
7 tickets.
Not in a war.
I'm just confusing people. So 1045thezone.com.
Michael Jones says 15 or no bet. No. This is not a negotiation. This is a proposal. You can either do. I'm not going to negotiate here.
1045thezone.com to buy tickets to the Install Live with Greg Cosell May 20th at the Hutton Hotel.
That's right.
With Buck Rising and Greg Cosell. If we get 10 of those tweeted at Buck Rising, the receipts of 10 tickets, then you will eat the entire one chip challenge.
I will. This is the only time in my life I've seen you motivated.
Okay.
Other than when you have to do a soccer game. You're very good at those, apparently.
Thank you. Dylan on YouTube says, Lucas, drop the links.
I'll put the links in the restream.
Put the links in the restream chat for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. And, of course, the 1045thezone.com/events is where you can go to get tickets to the live taping of the install. We're looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys out there, but I figured, it's like a 250-seat venue. I'm totally fine with, if we're going to throw a party, I like throwing big parties. It seems like a great time. And if it's half as much fun as the bowling event was, we're still going to kill it. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you guys out there anyway. I know a lot of you have already bought your tickets, but 1045thezone.com by 12:45 today, and I will do the entire chip challenge.
Let's go. Links in the YouTube chat, folks.
Get in there. Look at you. It's as evil as you've looked with that mustache on today. That's the biggest smile I've seen. It's already disoriented because I've got the set lights in here on me, so it's hard to see the two of you anyway. Because your room is dark, my room is dark, and I've got two headlights in my face. But so it looks like Lucas is smiling at me, even though I'm just seeing the mustache the entire time.
All day long, I'm going to be forgetting this is on my face and I just popped in to have a chat with our boss and totally serious, like, hey, bringing something up, and he's like, I'm sorry, just give me a second here, and I just forgot for a moment that this was on my face. It's just going to happen all day long. I have things to do today. I got to go to the grocery store,
and likely for more, it's entirely possible that's still on your face tomorrow. Which delights me.
What's the chance you would let me do like a little, what do they call it, underneath the lip, like a little flavor saver, like an upside-down triangle, just right at the bottom of the base of your lip?
Oh, God. 15 tickets. 15 tickets, and we'll put a goatee on Lucas.
Oh, I love the shill of this. Someone says if 15 tickets are sold, no milk for Buck.
No. I'm not doing this without gloves.
20?
Rob, I don't know where you found these gloves. Did you find these in a public restroom? Like, I'm concerned.
I'll fall on the sword and put and have a goatee on my face if we sell 15.
If we sell 15 tickets, I will do the entire one chip challenge, and Lucas will put a Sharpie goatee on to add to his Sharpie handlebar mustache.
But you have to tweet the receipts at us.
Yes,
that is how we know.
The screenshots to @BuckRising on Twitter or on Instagram. They are the same, REISING.
Any local philanthropist, just go ahead and pop 10 tickets real quick. Make Buck eat this whole chip, man. What's $2.50 to a local philanthropist?
That's what I'm saying. It's just going to be, it's what people want. It's what people want more than sports talk from us. They just want to see me physically uncomfortable.
Someone said if you sell 20 tickets, 2 chips for Buck.
No, I'm not.
I love the chip math. I'm all about the chip math.
I have upped the ante to the point where I am willing. Okay? That is the extent. There will be no further negotiations unless we're drawing something else on Lucas's face.
All right, 30 tickets, 3 chips. It's settled.
Levis is wearing number 8, it looks like. Does that give you anxiety? The Marcus Mariota number? It's either 8 or 10 that's the most triggering quarterback jersey number for Titans fans, I feel like. Because I honestly think 10 is more haunted than 8 at this point.
I don't know. Dylan says, I don't know how to feel about 8. Hasselbeck, Mariota, Adrian Peterson, Cody Hollister. Got to be cursed, he says.
I forgot about Adrian Peterson. Vince Young and Jake Locker are ghosts that haunt this franchise forever. And that's probably too harsh for Vince Young. Although there are some things around the Vince Young Titans experience. It's probably 10 that would be the more triggering number. Is there a jersey number of a Titans player that you think of that like brings you immediate disgust when you think about that number for specifically the players who have worn it? Because for me, it's 33. It's Jonathan Joseph and Deion Lewis. I don't ever need to see either of them play football ever again, or another Titans player wear 33. All right, good talk.
Trying to think what other 33s. Michael Griffin,
a good
33.
Michael
one
Griffin,
of the best players in Titans history.
Yeah, but also Deion Lewis and Jonathan Joseph. Don't like the 33. Let us get into what the Titans are telling us about the work that they have done around their skill positions group, specifically wide receiver. You're going to hear from them coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11 o'clock. Good morning from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. On Sunday, NBA playoff action saw the Sixers win at home in overtime over the Celtics 116-115 to tie the Eastern Conference semifinals at 2-2. In the West, the Suns beat the Nuggets 129-124, winning 2 in a row to tie that series in Game 4. Last night in the NHL, the Seattle Kraken scored 5 second-period goals in a 7-2 win over the Dallas Stars. They take a 2-1 lead in the second round Western Conference Series. Former Preds forward Ellie Tolvanen with a goal and an assist on the night. College baseball, Tennessee dropped games Saturday and Sunday to lose a road series to Georgia. Vanderbilt also lost its rubber match Saturday at Alabama 2-1. Nashville Soccer Club grabbed another home win Saturday night at Geodis Park. Hani Mukhtar scoring his third career hat trick in the 3-0 win over Chicago just one day after being named the Tennessee Pro Athlete of the Year by the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. It's Mukhtar's second career hat trick over the Chicago Fire. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour underway. Welcome in. Hope you had a great weekend. Lovely to have you guys here with us on this Monday. Bert, Lucas, myself. You got us till 1 o'clock, 615-737-1045. You have until 12:45 today to get me to do the entirety of the One Chip Challenge during the polls. The goal is 10 tickets sold to the Install live show with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. We have already been getting tweets with receipts. If you want to tweet us the receipts of your purchase to this event, we're very excited about it. It's going to be a great time to break down the entire draft class with Greg and some other special things that we've got planned. You can go to 1045thezone.com to get them and send us those receipts at Buck Rising on Twitter or Instagram. Tough scene. 12:45, either way, we're doing half a chip challenge. Lucas is just now motivated because if those 10 tickets get sold, it gets him out of doing this today.
Let's get to 10 people.
Yeah.
You got to tweet the receipts at us.
It's the most. Bert, I've worked 3 years, almost 3 years, to try and get him this engaged in the radio show.
As soon as there's an opening, we got to take it, man. Just always know that this back part of the room is not on your side.
Also, it's been 2 years.
It feels like 3.
Does it feel like 3? Yeah.
It's presidents, football coaches, and radio show producers that age like presidents, that age at a rapid rate. Lucas is showing.
Lucas is going to look great with gray hair, though.
Oh,
a
you
great
think?
looking head of hair.
I'm already getting a couple gray hairs.
I'm conflicted about it. I'm starting to get them too.
Yeah, you wouldn't look good with gray hair.
Okay.
You would look old. Lucas would look full of wisdom.
You're
and
my
knowledge.
age.
Yeah, I don't have any grays.
Well, we
This
wouldn't be
diet
able
of
to
cigarette
tell.
and fruit snacks has kept me propped up pretty nice, buddy.
Cigarettes and fruit snacks.
That's the name of my memoirs.
I did-
Cigarettes and Fruit Snacks, the Robert Walsh story.
I would buy that book. Let's talk about what the Titans are telling us around their skill position group, shall we? People are demanding that 15 minutes is not enough time to see and hear my pain. Doesn't this take effect within like the first minute, the one chip challenge?
I think it's enough time.
It's momentarily, yeah.
Like, we can't, I know that the audience cares not for how we get the radio show off the ground, but like if I did it during the radio show, we wouldn't be able to do the radio show. Like I would have to like basically call out for a day. My boss would be pissed because what did we just do?
Yeah.
To incapacitate me for, 2/3 or an hour even of the radio show.
This
So
is
what
the
if we
way.
do it at the end of the last segment before polls, leave the cameras on, and they get to watch you?
No, because I still have to bring us back from commercial break.
That's true.
No, I can't. I have a job. I have to do this. Even if our job allows us the flexibility to do stupid things like the one chip challenge on the air, I still have to be able to work. Meanwhile, Titans wide receivers need to be able to get some work this season. They need to be able to participate and contribute at a higher level. And I want to know what the general vibe, now that we've had a little time to cool off, yeah? Has your angst around the skill position groups calmed at all? Have you talked yourself off a ledge about the Titans offense? Now, that may not necessarily mean that you're good with where it's at, what the Titans roster looks like, whether you're not satisfied with the work that they've done in free agency and now the draft process. We'll get to free agents, undrafted rookie free agents, and more additions will be made. There'll be a lot of different players out there for rookie minicamp this weekend, and obviously we'll have the opportunity to speak to a handful of them. But I think for Titans fans, around two subjects, there's been a little bit of time has soothed you a little bit. Drafting Will Levis and not taking a wide receiver before the 7th round. And only adding Chris Moore to your wide receiver room in free agency at this stage. So what are they telling us by saying, hey guys, this situation, like if we came off of our board to draft a wide receiver, we would have had to come off our board considerably. Mike Vrabel's line was, hey, you guys got to trust us that we're going to continue to add good football players to this team, football players that we think can help us win. What message does that send? Because the initial reaction was, how dare they? Right? How dare they be so casual around a position that is already so triggering for Titans fans, the wide receiver, when everybody in the world knew that they needed a wide receiver. When the quarterback is saying at his press conference on Wednesday, yeah, I thought they might take one earlier than they did, but, it is what it is. And then spoke very positively about the additions that they had made on the offensive line, because that matters for him too. M. Sanders on YouTube, on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, says the message that it sends is that they don't like winning. So would a higher prioritization on the wide receiver position, draft or free agency, indicated to you that the Titans want to win more if they took that path than the path that they ultimately chose, which was to continue to add starting depth up front, starting players and depth up front, and kind of bolster everything that they felt they needed better depth behind, quarterback, running back, and tight end. Because the message that it sends to me is they think they've got a lot better group already than we do. That they think that Treylon Burks is going to be a top option, that Kyle Phillips is going to be a productive player. That's somebody that Rand Carthon brought up at one of these press conferences. It's not been a ton, but Rand Carthon has talked specifically about Kyle Phillips, the former 5th-round pick at wide receiver. Racey McMath has 4 career catches. I have no idea what to do with Racey McMath. I have no idea what to expect more of a 7th-round player that was billed to me almost exclusively for special teams and billed to Titans fans and Titans media, his drafting anyway, being for special teams purposes. So are they right to feel better about Chig, Phillips, and Burks? Maybe more as an addition, maybe NWI as a complement, and now Colton Dowell in the mix. Are they justified in feeling that they have a better group than we're giving them credit for? I mean, I don't know how optics would say anything, but no. Treylon Burks played in 11 games last year. I'm not blaming him for the concussion in the turf toe. That's, of course, ridiculous. But I need to see, ideally 15 games in a 17-game regular season? I would love to see 15 games of Treylon Burks. I'd love to see 10 of Kyle Phillips. I said this last night on the primetime show. I need to see them available before I can make any kind of judgments about how good or how much better the Titans' skill position group needs to be. Now, obviously, there's a considerable amount of time between Monday, May the 8th, and when the Tennessee Titans will play a meaningfully competitive football game, when they'll open their season. When is the schedule released, by the way? Do we have a date on that?
Yeah, in 3 days.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm so glad that we're not doing the fake Twitter account that's just leaking fake games to try and get more followers and then comes back on schedule release day and says,
Not doing that yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, somebody will. So they're saying to us, whether they're saying it, overtly or by nature of their actions, they're saying, hey, we're in a lot better shape than you guys think we are. And we're just filling out the places where we think we need more help. I mean, on face value, I don't know how anybody could be blamed for disagreeing vehemently. That's the word, Lucas.
Vehemently?
Vehemently.
Vehemently.
No.
I think you're saying it completely wrong. So you're leaning more towards they're saying, hey, this group is better than you think it is versus them saying, oh, we got a plan. You just don't know what it is.
I think that is far more likely than, oh, they have to have a plan, right? No, this is the plan. Those guys last year, even though they weren't drafted by this administration, technically, they are the plan. And if they weren't, buddy, they just became the plan. You got to show me evidence. This mustache is throwing me off. I think you're smiling at me the entire time because I can't see your mouth. And now when you do that, it's actually sinister.
Oh, I had things to do today.
Yeah.
I just picture you walking in to like get your taxes done or get like apply for a permit or
Bert,
something.
please tell me you've done your taxes before May 8th.
What do you mean?
He's like May 15th,
No,
right?
the-
That's the deadline.
Bert, please, I cannot.
It's due in June,
Of
right?
all the reasons that you would be, run out of this place, please let it not be for tax evasion.
You think I make enough money for them to for them to worry about me paying my taxes? They already got their money out of me. It gets taken out of withholding out of my check every week. But it's due in a month, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool deal. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm just picture Lucas walking in like to a taxidermy office,
Taxidermy.
Yeah, okay, finally. There you pick it up. I can only play dumb for so long. You guys have to pick it up and knock it out of the park real quick, or I just look like an idiot.
Or you just peter out.
Yeah, I'm serious. Yes, you have to give the horse an apple, man. Give me a sugar cube.
A horse would be somebody that's carrying us. I don't think that based on that, I don't think you're capable of carrying us at this stage.
Okay, maybe I'm a donkey then. Maybe I'm just plowing us. I don't know.
Definitely an ass.
Yeah.
Gotta pray. What are you watching, The Sopranos?
I'm not. Robert is, but never a bad time to hear this song.
It is a great like opening credits show song. Bert, how far are you into The Sopranos?
I am on the final episode.
And this is the first viewing of The Sopranos.
This is my first way all the way through. My buddy was like a hardcore Italian. Like you would go over to his house and like his uncle would be there and they would have like more food than you could eat in 3 days.
It's like Lucas's house now.
And I love it. I love it so much. And when I would
That's why you're always over there. That makes more sense.
And when I lived with him in college, he would just be watching it randomly. So I've seen bits and pieces and snippets of this show like on and off throughout my college career. But then once I got away from it, I was like, man, I should really watch that show. I should really give it a shot. And it's incredible.
It is. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing your reaction to the finale. It's not, we are far enough away from The Sopranos being, recent.
Well, I mean, I've heard about the finish, like that.
Oh,
he's
you know the ending?
Oh, of course. Everybody complains about it all the time. He's kind of just talking and it goes.
Well, I don't know. You'll have to find out for yourself. Experience it in real time. 615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. So, is there a worse wide receiver room than the Titans? That's something we're going to talk about. I saw a couple of different draft or post-draft analyses of various teams, and that was something that was being discussed specifically around the Titans. Let's go to the phones first, though. 615-737-1045. Kevin in Hopkinsville is next. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Good.
Hey, question for you. Has there been any discussion about maybe moving Malik to maybe like a wide receiver, kind of like the Deebo Samuels role, because he's got great open field instincts. He's a good runner, and he may not have an NFL arm, but he's got an arm. I think that would be a huge benefit for the Titans to have that kind of gadget player. I'll hang up and listen to you, but I think it's a good idea. I don't know why it hasn't been discussed.
Well, it hasn't been discussed because there's less money in it. And anytime there's a discussion around, thank you for the call, Kevin. Anytime there's a discussion around, can quarterback X move to wide receiver or move to running back, right? Well, what does that immediately connote? A pay cut. They are not going to, he is not going to do that. He's not going to want to do that. There's less value in it. There's less career longevity in it. And if it ultimately, I know players say the line of, I'll do anything I can to help the team, but I won't do that, right? The meatloaf line. He has no interest in playing another position other than quarterback. If there's some kind of like career, midlife crisis where he decides all of a sudden that he needs to switch positions to further sustain his NFL career, okay, maybe. But if I was him, I'd bank on my potential at quarterback. I'd keep trying to play the quarterback position, and I'd try to make sure that I can get the kind of paydays that quarterbacks get in ways that Deebo Samuel was asked to take less money because he's a running back wide receiver. He runs between the tackles. He takes a lot more contact. San Francisco, after deploying him that way, had the nerve to kind of denigrate what he does. That's why players won't do stuff like that. It doesn't benefit them. Even if you think, and I don't know that it would necessarily benefit the Titans, but anytime those questions are brought up and the response is, I don't know why it hasn't been discussed. Well, money. Money is the answer to all of your questions all of the time. Boot Hill Will on Twitch says it hasn't been discussed because it's the worst idea ever.
Yeah. I don't know about worst idea, but it's just kind of stupid, right? Like that's why nobody's talking about it.
Well, I don't think it's an unfair question to ask. I don't think it's a stupid question.
Yeah, I don't know. Anytime you hear something like that about guys, there's always some underlying thing behind it. Like, should he try switching to wide receiver? Like they do it with any
like Bill
quarterback.
Polian hitting Lamar Jackson with the wide receiver stuff?
Sure.
Yeah.
The dude rushed for it. Look, you're talking about he looked great in the open field last year. He averaged 4.3 yards a carry. And that's not like a running back. With a running back, that's great. With a quarterback, that's kind of like, okay, he got that because no one was around him yet.
Well, that's important context and something that Bert, I think, would be uniquely equipped to discuss because Lamar runs with volume like no other quarterback does. And still, because of the way that it makes you have to defend 11 as a defense, Lamar is still able to average a considerable more amount of yards per carry than that because of what it allows for everything else on the field. And also, he's a threat downfield.
Last year, he averaged 6.8 yards a carry.
That is what if you are talking about that kind of stuff, that's indicative of a good rushing or a quarterback who has the ability to contribute to the ground game. Truly. Now, Lamar is special, right? Lamar is, I don't necessarily want to call him one of one because there's been other quarterbacks who have come before him with a similar skill set. If they don't maybe possess the second reaction running that Lamar does, right? The stop and start that makes him so tough to nail down. Malik, I think the biggest improvement, the best thing I can say about Malik Willis, from an on-field standpoint last year, is that as he got more opportunity, and really he was good about this through preseason, he stopped running out of the back of the pocket very, very early on, and he started seeing holes that would open up rushing lanes in front of him. So rather than taking the longest possible route, right, running out of the back of the pocket, trying to turn the corner and then get upfield, he's seeing these rushing lanes develop in front of him and taking advantage of the gaps that exist there, which is a much quicker path to yardage. But he's still not overwhelmingly great at that.
I mean, positional value aside, Malik Willis just spent the entire last basically calendar year learning how to play quarterback at this position.
That's another reason.
So I have a hard time with just sweeping it away. Well, I'll just teach him how to play a completely different position that he hasn't played in X amount of years, if ever. I don't know if Malik Willis ever played wide receiver in organized football.
I don't know the answer to that question either.
He was a quarterback coming out of high school. He was a quarterback at Auburn. Was a quarterback at Liberty, and he's a quarterback now.
It's like when people just assume that a left tackle can play right or a right tackle can play left. You talk about the way that it throws these guys off. Darnell Wright, Vols fans. Think about how different a player Darnell Wright was as a right tackle versus a left tackle. And you know why Darnell Wright is still out here telling people that he believes that he is a left tackle? Because there's better money in it. There's a lot better money, just by nature of it being right versus left.
Like Peter Skoronski can be diplomatic, as he should, and say, I'm going to play wherever they need me to play and all of those things. But where does Peter Skoronski want to play?
He wants to play left tackle.
Yes, be a much richer man if he plays left tackle than left guard.
Considerably. So, again, the answer to all of your questions, forever and ever, amen, is money.
But I feel it's also disrespectful to what it takes to play the wide receiver position that just because a guy is athletic and good with the ball in his hands, I just put him at receiver.
We'll
figure the rest out. There's a lot more to it than that.
If it was so easy to find receivers that way, would you have not done so the last couple of years and not viewed A.J. Brown as an oasis in a wide receiver desert? Oh, my God, we found one. Finally. You know how damn hard it is to find these guys? It's the whole reason you've spent the entire offseason bitching at me.
It's also ridiculous. People in the chat are saying, Taysom Hill. Oh, Taysom Hill did it. Just because one guy did it doesn't mean you can be like, oh, this is Madden. Change his position. One guy did it, guys.
It's the Anthony Richardson, or it's Josh Allen as the example for Anthony Richardson. No, that's one. There is one skyscraper, unicorn, giant human being that also has the ability to whip it down the field 80 yards at a whim. Even with it. Didn't he have an elbow issue this year? And he's still just absolutely caving people's heads in with the football because Josh Allen is so singular in NFL history. But all of a sudden, that's become the standard that we try and hold developmental quarterbacks up against? No, that's nonsense. Just because you can cite an example does not mean that gives you a high percentage chance of success. So the wide receiver conversation, Robert, I'm inclined to agree with you that I think it is a question that people don't consider enough of the circumstances around it before they ask. I still understand why people ask the question.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said it was a stupid question or a stupid idea, but I think it's lazy. I just think it's lazy to
I'm more inclined to agree with you on lazy than I am stupid.
Sure. It's just lazy to go, this guy can run. We know he can run. Oh, let's make him a wide receiver. When in reality, he's not even the best runner. We're just kind of dog whistling ourselves here.
There is a component of that you have to consider anytime, because in the same way that people, you remember how hard people were hitting me during the season? Bert, I don't know that you weren't here with us every day at that point, but Lucas, people were hitting me with comments about me being racist in the way that I was talking about Malik Willis because he got benched for who? Josh Dobbs. Like completely people trying to hit me with, oh, you're just doing that because you're sending messages about the black quarterback that can't play. I'm like, no. I mean, don't, but for Dobbs, please. It's that people get so buried in what they project. And listen, I'm not dismissing that, because that, even as recently as Lamar Jackson was a Hall of Fame executive in Bill Polian, a Super Bowl champion, out here saying, no, that guy's a wide receiver at the next level. So that it's hard for me to hold people to a standard that Hall of Fame NFL talent evaluators aren't even held to, because Bill Polian was as guilty of that with Lamar as anybody has ever been. Anybody who sends those dumb, oh, you don't pay a running back comments, Lamar's not a quarterback. I don't know why I do that voice for my mentions, but it makes me laugh every time. Agent S. says, maybe colorist, not racist. No, I was advocating for him to be benched for Josh Dobbs. It has nothing to do with race, ethnicity, anything else, other than I hated watching him play and I wanted to see a better quarterback. Let's go through the list, but since we're getting the genesis of this conversation is coming from wide receiver, right? Because what people feel like the Titans have not done enough of is continue to accumulate talent in that wide receiver position group. Lucas, you have a list to that effect.
Yeah, and I bring this up because this was tweeted out by Mike Clay. He tweeted ESPN NFL analyst. He tweeted out all 32 wide receiver cores, and he ranked them first through 32nd.
Based on what?
Here was the tweet. 2023 NFL wide receiver unit ranks and depth charts. The Bengals topped the chart and the Titans still have work to do, was the tweet. And he puts it out, just simply ranking him, not overthinking him, just ranking wide receiver cores, in Mike Clay's opinion, from best to worst.
Who's best?
He has the Cincinnati Bengals as the best wide receiver core in the NFL.
Okay.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Trenton Irwin, Charlie Jones.
Who is 16th, so I can get the median?
16th, the Chicago Bears.
And they have recently acquired DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers.
DJ Moore joins Chase Claypool.
Mapletron.
Yes, Darnell Mooney, Equanimous St. Brown, and Velus Jones Jr.
Did they not draft a wide receiver?
They did. Tyler Scott's not included in this.
That's right. So this is excluding rookie wide receivers, which, I think probably it wouldn't help the Titans to include Colton Dow necessarily.
They actually did exclude. Yeah, I don't see any rookie receivers on this list.
That's good though. I think
no, that's not true. I do see a couple. He included a couple.
So what?
Like the New York Giants, according to Clay, are the 29th best receiver core in the league with
Including
Wan'Dale
Hyatt?
Robinson, Sterling Shepard, Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, and Jalen Hyatt.
So I wonder what the cutoff. That's the reason that I asked that question, right? 'Cause,
Yeah.
what's the cutoff? Why are you including a third-round pick but not a seventh?
Yeah, that's fair. But all this to say, he has the Titans as the number 32 wide receiver core in the NFL.
Oh, he has them last.
He has them last.
And the Texans, what, 31?
Texans 30.
Who's 31?
Who do you think he has 31?
Ooh, worst wide receiver. Worse than the Texans.
A lot of connections to the Titans with this team.
You already.
Oh, the Patriots?
No.
The Falcons, Goober. Come on.
Oh, the Falcons.
He has the Falcons.
Really?
Yeah. He doesn't include tight ends in any of these.
Did
which
Drake
I think,
London not do anything last year? Why am I thinking that Drake London is a good player?
I think I'm with you. Drake London, Matt Collins, Kaderil Hodge, who I have never heard of, Penny Hart, who I've never heard of, and Scotty Miller, the former Bucs slot receiver, are who he lists out.
Still getting jobs.
And obviously, Kyle Pitts factors in there. Like, when you look at the Giants wide receiver core, Darren Waller might be wide receiver one for the New York Giants this season. Like, would it shock anybody if he led them in catches and yards?
Nope.
So, I do think you have to factor tight end in here. And maybe that's on a team-by-team basis because a lot of teams use the tight end. So this is just wide receiver rooms that he's looking at, not necessarily the passing game as a whole and pass catchers, but wide receiver rooms. He has the Titans at 32nd, and the names he includes are Burks, Westbrook-Akina, Phillips, Chris Moore, and Racey McMath.
And the Texans, without Brandon Cooks, who is he assessing them based on?
The Texans, he lists out Nico Collins,
Okay.
Robert Woods, John Mechie, who's coming back after battling cancer.
Has had no proven track record of NFL success.
Right, missed his rookie year. Tank Dell, a rookie draft pick out of Houston, and Noah Brown. That's the wide receiver room that he has positioned in front of the. I'm with you that I think I would put the Falcons wide receiver room in front of the Texans, and maybe it's just a depth thing.
I'm giving Drake London a lot of credit that maybe he doesn't deserve. I can't. I mean, I saw some of him last year, and I was like, oh, he's a fun player. That makes sense. But I remember talking to Cosell about this, by the way. You can purchase tickets to the Greg Cosell podcast live taping. Greg's flying down here from NFL Films headquarters in Philadelphia. May the 20th, 1045thezone.com is where you go for tickets. It's going to be an absolute banger of an event. If we sell 10 tickets by 12:45 today, Lucas does not have to do the Hot Chip Challenge, and I have to do the entirety of it. Tickets, if you send us a screenshot so we know that we've got to 10, I will do the entirety of the Hot Chip Challenge at 12:45 today.
Got to tweet the receipts.
Yeah, got to tweet the receipts.
So Drake London last year started 15 games, played in all 17. On 117 targets, he caught 72 passes, 866 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that's good for 61% of the balls targeted to him he caught. He also fumbled 3 times.
Okay, now give me his numbers next to Alec Pierce, the Colts' second-round draft pick out of Cincinnati, because that Greg basically said, I didn't like Drake London when we were doing the pre-draft analysis. He said, I didn't like Drake London any better than I liked Alec Pierce.
And what neighborhood would you, as Bert looks that up, what neighborhood would you put the Colts wide receiver room in? And you don't have to give me the exact ranking, but just kind of.
No higher than 20, right?
23rd, yeah.
Michael Pittman is far from a proven top option.
Yeah, and he's wide receiver 1.
At
Contract year for him.
Yeah. And I like Downs a lot. He's getting rave reviews out of Indianapolis this weekend, by the way.
Yeah.
Retweeted a couple of those videos.
Clay List, Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Isaiah McKenzie, and Ashton Doolin.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them
23rd.
over 20.
So last year for Pierce, he played in 16 games, started 12. He got targeted 78 times for 41 catches, 593 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only caught 52% of his targets, and he had 1 fumble.
Yeah, but the quarterbacks. That's the thing. Mariota is not an accurate quarterback, and Alec Pierce played with the corpse of Matt Ryan, Nick Foles for like a game and a half, and then who? Ellinger?
Ellinger was there for at least 2. One week or 2.
That is tough. Kay Oldham says Pittman is capable. He's above Burks. I don't know what. That's the thing. Mike Clay is doing the same thing that we all are with the Titans wide receivers. I haven't seen any of these dudes do it. I've seen moments, flashes, glimpses of Treylon Burks and what he can do, what a difference he can make for this offense. I'm not saying that he's not capable of doing it this coming year. I have no idea. I need to see him out on the field for more than 11 games. I need to see Kyle Phillips as some kind of contributing complement, because we never got that. I need to see a larger target share for Chig, which they have no choice at this point. He's the best tight end left on the roster. And I need to see improved protection for Tannehill to be able to get the ball down the field. Those are all, everything that I've just laid out is the entire goal of their offseason. And what they're saying to you is, if we get these things right around the quarterback situation, you can't predict health at any point, but we think that the current wide receiver situation is not nearly as poor as everybody is giving us credit for.
Can you, with what we know about these guys and these players and every wide receiver room in the NFL, can you make an argument for any other team right now to have
a worse wide receiver
to be in a
than the
worse
Titans?
Situation, just from what we know about the guys right now?
Mechie and Dell, I like the idea of them in Houston, but I can't take the most productive Texans wide receiver, put him on another roster, and then argue that roster is better for having lost their most productive wide receiver last year in Chris Moore.
Yeah.
So I think that is, I would say that I would be inclined to lean Houston worse, because I do like, but I mean, Nico Collins has more of an established career than Treylon Burks does, than any player on the Titans roster. So maybe I'm being a little bit homer there by trying to give them an edge over the Texans.
Nico Collins last season had 33 catches, 446 yards, 1 touchdown. His numbers were very, very similar.
That's basically Burks.
I'm sorry. Collins had 37 catches, 481 for 2 touchdowns. I read his 21 numbers. His 21 and 22 numbers were almost the exact same. Like a handful of yards and catches apart.
Right, but he's how many games? How many games has he played in?
He played in 14 and 21. He played in only 10 last season.
Okay. but I would still say that I know more about Nico Collins than I do Traylon Burks, even if what I know is not, it's only good for 31 as opposed to 32, right?
It's another year of a very similar looking sample size for Collins.
615-737-1045 is how you join the discussion. Speaking of local sports, big weekend for Nashville SC. Lucas was on the call. I'll tell you what's going on with that coming up next. And also an absolutely insane 3 days of events at Nissan Stadium that just gave the Titans all the leverage that they needed to say, hey, you know why this dome stadium makes a whole lot of sense? We'll tell you why coming up next. So how many people waited? Was it 3.5 hours from the time that the opening act for Taylor Swift was supposed to be on stage last night to the time that they actually got her on stage? It was insane.
I was actually considering checking it out from Pedestrian Bridge. Like, I was considering taking a stroll up there and just taking in some of it and going home.
And then the bottom fell out?
Yes, the bottom fell out of the sky, and I stayed home.
I mean, it was, because I thought it was going to be like that all weekend, was the initial fear.
The rain?
The rain like that. And it just decided it was going to basically hold itself together until Sunday afternoon, right before, like an hour before the concert was ready to go down, to where conditions were completely untenable at Nissan Stadium. Because so it's 3 straight nights of Taylor Swift at Nissan. She puts more people in that building than any other event that has come before it. North of 70K. All right? I think seating capacity in like the stands is 69 and change. So they squeeze an extra 1,000 or so people somewhere into Nissan. And it is rocking all 3 nights. I live downtown. I can hear the thing every night. And last night, it didn't end until 3:30 in the morning. 3:30 in the morning. Now, as far as like logistics, I really didn't have a problem. Like I went out on Saturday night. I went home on Saturday night before the concert let out because I wasn't going to deal with that. I didn't want to deal with Uber issues. I didn't want to deal with, I was in the Gulch. It was close enough in proximity to downtown. I'm like, I can get some spillover Swifties here. I don't want it. So I want to get out of there. But the idea that people waited, that the first severe weather alert went out at like 5:40 in the afternoon, and the concert was about an hour away from starting with her opening act, and that people waited in the concourse for hours upon hours singing Taylor Swift songs to themselves to pass the time.
with each other. You made it sound like they're psychopaths.
They
singing
are.
Taylor Swift songs to themselves.
They're a cult.
Just quietly muttering under their breath.
Holding
Is my boyfriend.
holding themselves by their knees in a rocking fetal position and muttering the words to Bad Blood.
Most of the time in that scenario, people would probably head home, right? But it's Taylor Swift.
Not that.
And you probably paid the hundreds of dollars at bare minimum for those tickets. So I wonder how many people actually went home.
I think it was like
They were out there till 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah, I would have been trying to sell my tickets to anyone standing on the pedestrian bridge.
Oh, for sure, because there was 10,000 more on the pedestrian bridge. You thought about going and taking it in. Well, about I don't 10,000 is probably a dramatic number. I shouldn't say numbers without having an actual number, but however many people could fit on the pedestrian bridge, they were camped out there watching, and plenty of people who live downtown who have apartments or things like that. Like people were going over to other people's places just to watch the concert from like a balcony or something like that from the Sobro building or whatever. The Swiftie thing was wild, but I saw so many like just defeated Snapchats and Instagram stories of friends who went to this thing and got out of there, out of the venue at 3, couldn't get a ride home afterwards, had to find an Uber, like just catastrophic. Swifties by the roadside everywhere. It was terrible.
It was funny watching it too. It's kind of like Halloween, right? They're all dressed up and you see them the day of. We were in East drinking a little bit, and it's like you see them walking down the street and you know exactly what they're there for. But my question is, why are you already dressed up? The concert's not for like 8 hours, and there's women's walking around in corsets and prom dresses.
Do you want to know why? Because
this is their Super Bowl?
Yes, because the city of Nashville, smartly, they're the entrepreneurs out there. I see you out there hustling. They are taking Taylor Swift guided tours around the city of Nashville during the day. Buddy, I'm sitting at one of my favorite coffee spots in Germantown, okay? And they make their own chocolates there, all right? They do like the truffles and whatnot, but they've got really, really good coffee. And they got a full bar in there, too. It's a nice setup. No free ads. But I'm sitting in there. I'm getting some work done Saturday during the day, just sitting at a little table in a coffee shop. And I'm telling you, Bert, in the 45 minutes that I was in that coffee shop, 3 different shuttles with 3 different tours of mostly women, but tour groups who are there to take the Taylor Swift day tour to go see her favorite spots around town, to see which truffle is her favorite, for the people who make the truffles to tell you how they go about making the truffles that Taylor Swift likes to buy. Like all these things. It is an economy unto itself. It's big. It's bigger than the damn Super Bowl. Super Bowl is only a day. This was 3, and she could do a residency in Nashville, Tennessee, and sell it out every night. 70,000 at a football stadium. There's not a lot of people who have that kind of pull.
And you can spot the Swifties from a mile away. I don't know what other concert you could spot the concert goers.
Did you not just hear his whole
anywhere
bit?
in town?
Are you not listening to him too?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Bert. I was texting someone back.
Yeah, he's right though. What other concert?
Are you texting people to buy tickets because not enough people have sent you receipts?
I'm working. Yeah, I'm
Are
working.
you nervous?
You included me in this group text.
Are you
I'm
working the phones?
We really missed the
Wait,
mark.
you're
though.
included in this group text, but I'm not?
The one of him trying to sell tickets. Yes, he's asking me to pitch in. We really missed the mark. We should have had, like, when Taylor's in town, she listens to 104.5 The Zone.
No,
We should have got a
I don't
billboard.
care about Mike Vrabel's draft story.
Well,
Tell me that Taylor Swift listens to 104.5.
Our neighbors here at Cumulus Nashville, WKDF for the weekend, they were WKDF.
No.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Nissan Stadium has changed their Twitter headline, and it says, "This is a Taylor Swift account." When she comes in, she changes everything and leaves it in her wake.
Truly, who else can you say that about?
The NFL.
Yeah, but the NFL is like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes can't do that.
I know. I'm saying
The
saying
NFL's boyfriend isn't karma.
What Taylor Swift did to Nashville this weekend reminds me of the power of the NFL as an entity.
Oh, an entire
Just
professional
gobbling
sports
up
league.
everything around you. Yes.
No, that I would submit. It is akin to political conventions, things like the draft, and then Taylor. It's insane to me. Every time I got in an Uber this weekend, all the Uber drivers could talk about. Normally, it's I get Will Levis questions and things like that at this time of year. But it was all about the fact that they were surviving out here in these streets, trying to shepherd Swifties from one venue to another, one pink covered restaurant to another, one mimosa happy hour to another. It's just insanity for 3 straight days. And honestly, it's hilarious because the places that people don't know Nashville but are buying Airbnbs in anyway, like the amount of Swifties that I saw. You guys have been to my house, okay? And I love North Nashville, but there are parts of it that can be, rougher than others. And I was cracking up driving through my neighborhood over the course of the weekend and seeing herds of blonde white women walking through my neighborhood on their ways to Airbnbs that they thought were actually in downtown Nashville, conveniently located next to Nissan Stadium. Lonzo writes says maybe Garth Brooks. I'd put Garth in that category. Garth has similar superpowers to that everywhere he goes. Beyonce is going to be here and playing the venue, the same venue, Nissan Stadium, in a couple of months, right? Is the Beyonce show? I think that's October. I don't know the date exactly. Either way.
No, Drake got pushed back to October. Beyonce's the same time.
Okay, got it. Dylan Elam is asking, did we get the 10 tickets sold? I don't know, Lucas. Do you have an update?
We've had people tweeting at us saying that they're buying them, but we've only had one person tweet the receipt.
I need receipts.
We need the receipts screenshotted
We may
and tweeted
have
at
had
us.
10 tickets sold, and we don't know, which means that Lucas's fate, how does it feel to have your fate entirely in their hands?
Not great. I have a lot to do today.
You can go to 1045thezone.com to purchase your tickets to the Install live show May the 20th at the Hutton Hotel. Greg Cosell is very excited to come in. Greg's going to a concert at Nissan Stadium while he's in town. He's going to the Billy Joel concert. It's going to be a big time.
That will be a fun show.
Indeed, it will be.
We need receipts for Buck to eat the one chip challenge.
Alone. I'm doing it either way. The only person who's really impacted by this is you. And it's funny to see you in this position because normally it's me. Let's get into speaking of Taylor Swift, it is further entrenching the city of Nashville and the Tennessee Titans as an organization into why they're building a new stadium with a roof on it. You'll hear from Titans President Burke Nihill on that very subject coming up next.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. That's right. It is schedule release week for the National Football League. On Thursday, we will know the dates of the Titans' 2023 slate. Over the weekend, Tennessee dropped games Saturday and Sunday, losing a road series to Georgia. Vanderbilt also lost its rubber match at Alabama 2-1. Nashville Soccer Club grabbed another home win Saturday night at Geodis Park. Hani Mukhtar scoring his third career hat trick in the 3-0 win over Chicago just one day after being named the Tennessee Pro Athlete of the Year by the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. Nashville back at Geodis Park for U.S. Open Cup action this Wednesday, hosting FC Dallas. Tonight in the NBA, the Knicks and Heat play Game 4 at 6:30. Heat lead 2-1. And in the West, semifinals, the Lakers and Warriors will tip off in L.A. at 9 p.m. Lakers lead that one 2-1. One NHL matchup tonight. It's Game 3 in the Western Conference second round. Oilers and Golden Knights. Series is tied at 1. Puck drop at 7:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour. I had to look and make sure that was right. Show's moving quickly today. Lucas is running out of time. 42 minutes to tweet us your purchase tickets to the Install Live show to get Lucas out of doing half of the one-chip challenge and me to do the full one-chip challenge.
Yeah, it's not about getting me out of doing that. It's about getting you into doing the whole thing.
That's the way to sell it, buddy. Look at you.
Karen on YouTube says, I'm buying one and I can't even go that night. Karen, be sure to tweet us the receipt.
Well, and Karen, if people want to do that, by the way, we had people do that for the bowling event. Now, that was for charity, and we very much appreciated that. But that was something that if you want to buy tickets but you can't go, and for the opportunity to send another Titans fan, pay it forward type of situation, like at the Starbucks line. It's always nice when that happens when you're getting your coffee in the morning. Do as you like. But if you would like to purchase a ticket, but you can't go, we can make sure that those tickets get distributed to people who want to go, but may not necessarily want to purchase one.
Magic number is 10. We got to get more. Got to get 10 receipts tweeted at us.
I bet we've sold 10, but people have not tweeted the receipts at us.
That would drive me nuts
if that happened. Very, very happy. That's the outcome that I'm rooting for.
Tyler on YouTube says, I Ubered the entire weekend of the Taylor Swift concert. I made $2,500. And just take 25 out of that 2,500, Tyler, and come on down to Greg Cosell live, the Install Live with Greg Cosell.
Yeah, that hurts.
Look at you, how cringy he was.
No, I should have been Ubering this entire weekend.
We have people that have called in who apparently were working Nissan Stadium this weekend. Little John, not that Little John, I assume, is in Nashville calling us. What's up?
Hey.
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Man, I work security down in Nissan. Man, and each day that we had to come and work, if you work in the back of the house, you had to have a background check in order to work. So, yeah, security was crazy down there, man. We had to do a background check for each day in order to work downstairs at the back of the house because they didn't want no one just wandering around down there. It was just wild, man. I mean,
so
you have
I guess is that not? I don't know how do you often work events at Nissan Stadium, and that's not necessarily the case.
Yes, not all stars are like that. They have background checks in order for you to work. No.
Well, that's a good point of reference. Listen, they can't afford to screw up Taylor Swift if you're Nashville. I mean, this woman is getting park benches donated to her in parts of town that she has no affiliation with whatsoever. I tweeted that I demanded a park bench. I want that in my next contract. I would like a park bench, too.
Oh, we got another receipt. Thank you, Karen. More steam.
So are we at 2 now?
No.
Yeah, 2 receipts have been tweeted. We need 8 more.
Only 2 people have tweeted your receipts? I know we've sold more than that, but, that's hilarious. But I bet one of every 10 that is actually sold is tweeting your receipt. That makes me happy.
I feel like we should be able to reach out to Rich down in promotions. I'm sure he has a running log of these things.
Well, I have a running log. I know. I'm just not going to tell him.
Oh, well,
Because the bet is for receipts.
You're going to hurt anyway. Why do you want to make Lucas hurt? I feel like you should eat the whole chip.
Because misery loves company.
It's true.
And I want receipts. So before we get, the Titans' new stadium and Taylor Swift and everything around it, right? I saw somebody tweet me that Taylor would have sold 30,000 less tickets in the new Titans stadium because it's going down by about 10 grand in terms of, or 10,000 in terms of capacity. And while I know there are some concerns with that, like Taylor Swift's not going to have a problem selling tickets anywhere she goes. Like she's going to be okay. Taylor, the difference between, it sounds bleeped up to say, but like 30,000 tickets is no sweat off Taylor Swift's back. Like Taylor Swift could say, hey, I'm going to do a concert that costs $5 a ticket or, let's say $100 a ticket and sell 30,000 and do it, at Centennial Park or something like that. So while 30,000 seems like a big number and, the sales associated with it seems like a big number, when you do it to scale of Taylor Swift, that's couch cushion money. Now, the new stadium, Burke Nihill, the president and CEO of the Titans, was on 3HL last week. And Lucas, give me the context for the clip that we're about to hear from Burke about now Nashville being in line for a Super Bowl without giving dates and specifics.
Yeah, basically, Burke was on 3HL Friday giving assurances on what the new stadium will bring to Nashville.
The NFL is jazzed about this building. And, I can't make any sort of formal declaration. I don't represent the 32 owners of the NFL, but there will be a Super Bowl that is played in this facility because this is exactly the type of facility that the NFL wants to bring its biggest and best events.
So that's Burke Nihill saying that the NFL has not, in terms of like time and date, committed, but is committed to bringing the Super Bowl to Nashville. That only happens if they put a dome on that stadium. For those of you who waited 3.5 hours in the rain, and listen, Taylor Swift, good on her, because it was still driving rain late into the night last night, and as soon as the lightning stuff went away, she was out there with her entire band, her entire choreographed set, doing the damn thing for 70,000 Swifties that waited for her. I thought that was really a really cool way to pay off your fan base. And it's why people, it's a reason, one of many reasons why people flock to her that way. But if you don't want things like weather delays taking place at Nissan for 3.5 hours on a Sunday night, and you get out of a concert at 3:30 a.m. and you got to get up for work at 6:30 the next morning, this covered stadium is for you. The Super Bowl, WrestleMania, something that Burke Nihill also said would be coming to Nashville at the new Titans Stadium, that WrestleMania has committed to bringing it to, or WWE has committed to bringing WrestleMania to the new Titans Stadium. These are all a variety of events that are not possible in the current venue. And Bert, you were giving us some numbers about where WWE is at right now in terms of their events and what they've been able to put on. Could you say those for the audience, please?
Yeah, they're on a ridiculous tear coming off WrestleMania a month ago, Backlash last weekend, which happened in Puerto Rico. So they broke all kind of records, which they do after these, which are called PPLs now instead of pay-per-view, or premium live events. So PLE instead of pay-per-view. But they sold out Puerto Rico 2 nights in a row, and they saw a 98% year-to-year increase on partnership revenue. In addition to that, 28% increase in viewership. So, they're just on an incredible tear right now. And for reference, about 3 years ago, right before COVID, I think WWE stock was trading around $38 to $44 a share. Last week, they eclipsed $100. So they're just on an incredible tear right now. When they were here for SummerSlam last year, I know a lot of people like to use the pictures of them tarping off sections of Nissan, but WWE raved about the city of Nashville and how well it was put together for their purposes, where you could go to a show, everything's walking distance. It works incredibly well for the machine that is WWE. So it is no surprise to me that they would want to come here and do a WrestleMania in the new stadium.
It's not a justification for the stadium project and all the financial implications of it. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to convince anybody that the new Titan Stadium is a good idea. I'm saying that the people who thought it was a good idea and the people who voted it through, who consider it to be a good idea, are now justified in events like Taylor Swift being delayed by 3.5 hours because you have an open-air stadium. Now, Titans fans don't give a damn about that. They want to see their football team play in the elements. They want to see their football team play on grass. You're already getting the grass component of that removed from Nissan Stadium. The Titans are changing their playing surface, and that's something that we've talked to several players about at this point, and going from it is regarded as the best kind of artificial surface, but it is still an artificial surface that has players wary enough about it at this point. So we'll talk more, because I know there was a bit of is outrage the right word, to see the way that Titan season ticket holders were reacting to a season ticket holder email survey that was sent out regarding the future cost of ticket prices and a variety of options. We're going to talk more about that tomorrow, because I think there's a larger discussion to be had with you all about, basically everything that this franchise is going to ask from you if you are going to continue to commit yourselves to it from a financial standpoint. But we'll have time to do that during tomorrow's show. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. We'll do some Titans draft intel, and I have an install ticket sales update coming up next. Are you celebrating back there? Are you excited? Woo-hoo-hoo. Lucas Panzica is officially free of the one chip challenge at 12:45 today. You guys always go through strong. Now, Lucas, I think, lied to people saying that only 2 people had sent receipts because now he has goaded somebody into buying a package of 8 tickets.
I need to switch up the bumper. I came back to the wrong bumper music. Got out of it.
I thought you were clapping back there. This is not a celebration this is a celebration for everybody but me. Because now I have to suffer in silence.
It turns your tongue blue. You have to show the Zone TV chat your tongue.
I'm not sticking my tongue out for the camera on the internet where that will live forever. No.
Hey, Slade bought a ticket. He just sent me the receipt. That's 13 total.
Slay!
Well, we think I have looked at the live counter. I know we have sold more than that. By the way, if we get to 15, you have to draw a Sharpie goatee.
So what have we sold? 14?
We're at 14. One more ticket, ladies and gentlemen.
Just draw it on my face, Bert.
All right.
No, wait. No, we have to. We can't.
Okay.
I'm doing a thing. What do you mean? Just draw it on my face. Do you not see what I'm trying to get accomplished here?
One more ticket, and you get to see me with a goatee for 20 minutes.
Now that you're see, this is the problem. As soon as he gets what he wants, I lose him. Yeah. It's just, do you know how
Story of Buck's life.
Do you know how frustrating that is? Justin Davis has tweeted us at Justin Davis 335. Please donate these. It's an order for 8 tickets to the damn install show.
So we can give those away, right? He said donate, but I think we could give those away.
I'm Justin, please DM me on Twitter. If you would be so kind, and we will because if Justin would like to go, I don't want to assume that all 8 of these tickets are up for grabs, but if he has donated a portion of the purchase, then we would be happy to see those distributed.
Anyone who eats a hot chip challenge, record it, send it to Buck, and he'll give you a ticket.
No. This is not going to turn into the bowling event where I'm panic buying groups of tickets just to give them away to people at the end. Should we do some actual sports talk today? Other than this has been a very, very self-involved show. Very, very self-involved. So let's do some actual sports talk. Mike Sando has written an anonymous, he does these regular check-ins with anonymous executives, coaches, and personnel people around the league, having to do with various events on the league's calendar, right? Whether that's the draft, he does an annual quarterback tier survey where he tiers the quarterbacks based on the feedback that he gets from people in the league. But this specific article, Lucas, is centered around people's thought processes about other teams' draft. Anonymous execs speaking on various teams' drafts. And there's a blurb in there that was interesting on the Titans.
Yeah. What do you think the consensus is? Consensus.
Why are words so hard for us?
I don't know. Words are our living. Consensus. What do you think the consensus is around the league from people Mike Sando talked to? Do you think it's positive? It's overwhelmingly negative? Somewhere in the middle?
I would say that it is, I would say that the reaction is probably the same reaction that we had. Oh, that's very them. That's very them. Whether you mean that positively or negatively, it's very, very, what they've just done is very Titans.
So one thing that Sando, which by the way, the Titans obviously going offense on all 6 picks. There has not been a draft since the Bucks in 2014 where a team does that, having at minimum 5 picks and going all offense with every single one. Was that the Winston draft, 2014? I think it was.
No.
It was.
No, Winston and Mariota were 15. Lawan was 14.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I was out of college when Marcus Mariota was drafted, and I was still in college when Taylor Lewan was drafted.
Okay.
I remember very specifically because the Colts fans that I lived with wanted the Colts to draft Taylor Lewan.
So Jameis Winston played a year of college after his national championship year.
Yes.
That was as a true sophomore, I guess?
Remember, because he had the Uber incident that caused him to be suspended for, I think, like a series after the national championship season. I'm pretty sure the crab legs incident was after the national championship season.
Okay, he was a redshirt freshman in the national championship season.
Yeah, he had more college football after. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first quote given to Mike Sando by an anonymous NFL executive. Quote, they are thinking about life after Derrick Henry and life after Ryan Tannehill, and they already cleared out some of their offensive line. They're trying to transition on the fly, which is hard to do when you have a high-priced quarterback. They need Levis to be the answer because it will make all the other issues go away next year. Second quote, you could have taken a receiver at 11, but they took a very highly thought of offensive lineman, and their offensive line has been a problem. The second round, I don't think I don't think there was a receiver worthy of it, and you drafted Levis, which is a perfectly good swing. I understand.
So NFL teams are saying, yeah, what they did makes sense.
Yeah,
They did make sense.
The third and final quote is maybe they'll negotiate a deal for DeAndre Hopkins, which doesn't seem likely now, where Arizona pays for most of it or pays for some of it, but their identity is running the football.
So basically the consensus that Sando is getting is the same thing that we're saying. Yeah, they did something that was very, very essential for them as a football team in terms of rebuilding the foundation of their offensive line. Took a swing on a quarterback prospect that they think has high upside with not a lot of premium. Like, they didn't give up premium draft capital to get him. A third-round pick and drafting him with a future third. Okay. The Levis trade was drafting him at 33, swapping third-round picks with Arizona, and giving Arizona a future third-round pick. That's not premium draft capital from a premium position and a player who everybody thinks has a very high ceiling. So the league is saying basically that they're justified in what they're doing, even if the fan base doesn't like it. And that's basically what Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon were saying in their press conference. But one, Rand Carthon doesn't have the sweat equity here. He has sweat equity. He has earned the opportunity that he has in front of him. But any kind of, hey, trust us, we got this. That's not that. Even Mike has. That equity seems to be waning a little bit, right? Now, that's coming off a season where things were very, very tough. And as soon as they win again, people will love Mike Vrabel again, and it'll be, oh, how could anybody have ever thought about letting this guy go? Or how could this, all these different things. Coach of the year, right? He's not that far removed from that season. So I think when you hear all the intel around and the anonymous quote, do you guys like reading the anonymous quotes articles?
I love it.
Okay, because you're a fan of a football team. Your football team has been very much the subject of NFL hot stove conversation until Lamar got the deal done, and now Odell Beckham Jr. signing in Baltimore, plus the skill position players that they took in this draft. Baltimore is an exciting thing to read about. Would you be consuming that if your team was bad or if they had lost Lamar?
I don't love it so much that my team, I love it because I love the mess. I love the hot goss. You don't ever get anybody throwing mud around in football ever. And if you hear something, it's unsubstantiated. Somebody on Twitter is just running their gums around, talking all this junk. But when you hear it this way, an anonymous general manager, like that just puts this je ne sais quoi with it, that which I used that correctly.
You did.
I used it correctly.
It's always when we least expect it.
It adds this something something you can't really describe to it. I just love the mess when they're always like, yeah, I really hated what old Detroit did. It's like, oh, who said that? Was it a Bears general manager? Was it someone upset that Gibbs didn't fall to him? Like, who? I love the mess. And anytime somebody's out here slinging mud around, you better believe I'm going to be like a pig in it.
Well, it's TMZ. It's the TMZ part of sports, right? It's too much in the NBA, but it's just enough gossip in the NFL to keep you interested. It's why the offseason does as well as it does, because people pretend to hate the rumors and the lies, but they really love them. Well, I mean, I think I'm as honest. I think we as a collective show are as honest as humanly possible. We love it because it gives us something to talk about. Even if we're not going to lend credibility to the actual report or rumor, at least it gives us a different scenario that we might not have considered and allow us to take a different angle on the same subject matter that we've been talking about for 3 months. So, necessary evil to a degree on that. But yeah, and it allows the NFL executives to speak more openly. When have you ever come away from a quarterback press conference, a head coach press conference, or a GM press conference, be like, wow, I really, really learned something here? That was actually something concrete. Not like Ryan Tannehill doesn't want to play on an artificial surface. Now the offensive comments about Ryan Tannehill, but think about the baseline for what we feel like we learn out of press conferences is, Oh, you're telling me the offense is different? That's big news. Let me spend 3 hours of sports talk radio breaking down all the ways in which you didn't tell me it was different. That's kind of where we're at right now. Matthew, oh my God. People are tweeting us about this this ghost chip challenge. I have 15 minutes before my life ends, essentially. I'm glad that we did this way, but I wish that I had an ally here. I don't like that you've been relieved of duty on the hot chip challenge.
It was your idea, pal.
No, I know.
It was a good idea.
It was a good idea. It accomplished what we needed to accomplish, but I'm scared.
But it seems like the wide-ranging opinion on the Titans is, they needed a quarterback. They got a quarterback.
That's because that's how the NFL looks at it. That's how these people are going to look at each team's draft, right? The people responsible, quote unquote. But like, if Austin and Zach at A to Z Sports came up to me and said, hey, I want, before you write a newser on the Titans picking Will Levis, or before you do anything about opinion, before you write anything, write some Titans draft grades. And they don't do that to me, which I love them for, right? Now, they probably have somebody else doing draft grades, but that's fine. If they came up to me and said, hey, we need you to do your Titans draft grades by the time, before you head down to the press conference, if I had to do it on deadline, for example. And I came back to them and said, well, I don't have any super strong opinions about this. I need a little more time to talk to people about why they made the picks that they did. Or frankly, if I gave them the Emory Hunt argument, which is, their draft class isn't complete until they go through the undrafted process, they're going to look at me and say, what? Bleep, you write the article. In a hypothetical world. But I think the rate at which people like the NFL is going to look at this in a practical way, more practically than football fans are. Because football fans are saying, our offense sucks. What does offense well? What catches touchdown passes? Oh, a wide receiver. Now, by the way, it can be more complicated than that. You can cite advanced analytics. You can cite route running metrics and measurements. You can cite lack of talent and versus draft pedigree and all these different things. You can make plenty of compelling arguments. I'm not saying that you're wrong to do so. But if you're presenting another NFL organization with a draft class like the Titans, they're going to say, yeah, basically the same thing that we did Monday morning. It's functional. It accomplishes a lot of what they needed to get done. It gives them options into the future, even if there's not a wide receiver, a highly drafted wide receiver that the fan base thinks is going to be the difference in that. That's not happening. Bert, what are you doing in the chat right now?
What
are you supposed to be doing as a part of your workday right now? What are you supposed to be doing other than causing anarchy in the Zone TV chat?
And Slay started it,
no,
man.
It's Slay. What are you, 5? Did you just point at Slay and say, but he did it first?
It's like when you're in class with your friends and the teacher fusses at him and tells him to stop, but then he makes that face at you. The chat wants you to eat the chip, Buck.
I'm not doing it right now.
They are chanting.
Yeah, it's before the polls, but they are chanting.
The chat is moving so quickly you cannot see it. It is just saying eat the chip.
The trajectory for the chip challenge is 12:45.
Yeah, it's before polls.
I have to be able to finish the radio show before we incapacitate me with a chip. Luke Tamburin says, "Quit chipping, Buck." Listen. We are a society of rules and laws. I hate that you're just back there cackling by yourself, playing around in the YouTube.
I'm just hunting and pecking away to type "eat the chip" over and over.
Eric says Dawn would eat 2.
Dawn would do it, and she wouldn't complain about it either.
Yeah. So what? Because Dawn's more willing to do dumb stuff than I am. That means I should do it? No, that's nonsense. Absolutely not.
I think this is going to be your identity now. I think you're going to have to eat a chip at the end of every show.
I'm not going to do that. What do you mean?
Look at the numbers, Buck. The numbers don't lie. Look at all these people.
I'm not looking at the YouTube chat because I'm trying to host a radio show. So, yeah, people like the Titans draft.
Jeremy Fowler did a bit on this, just little bits of intel and thoughts on every single team based on what he's hearing. And he doesn't give a ton. He doesn't give direct quotes from anonymous executives the way Mike Sando does. But he says in his final paragraph, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, the Mike Vrabel-Will Levis pairing is among the most intriguing of draft season. This could be a personality fit. Some scouts labeled Levis as serious, almost robotic. Who's more serious about his football than Vrabel? Levis has the kind of toughness and work ethic that should appeal to Vrabel.
What do we know about Will Levis and pre-draft interactions with teams? We know that most teams, or at least teams that were willing to talk about their interactions with Levis, didn't sound like he had a lot of good ones, right? Didn't sound necessarily like he came off however they expected him to come off, or whatever kind of situations they put him in his 30 visits or other interactions with other teams and other executives. Didn't sound like it went well. What was the one thing that you heard in the pre-draft process definitively of a team that had a good interaction with Will Levis on a visit?
Well, Fowler on pre-draft, 2 weeks before the draft, he put out same deal, intel, quotes from anonymous scouts and executives about every quarterback prospect. And about Levis in that regard, he said some teams who interviewed Levis came away thinking his personality was serious or, quote, tightly wound, a phrase heard repeatedly in our interviews with scouts, and hard to loosen up. One NFC exec challenged that notion with this: are teams trying to knock him down so that his stock slips and they can draft him, because that is a game that can be played? And how much can we take away from what we learn from these interviews? Whether it's trying to knock a player down or up in its draft stock, or like we heard from from Dan Pompei, I believe, was who wrote the article on Peter Skoronski, and that quote from what his meeting was like with Arthur Smith went all over the place. And I thought it was taken completely out of context, personally. You know what I'm talking about.
Arthur Smith about, having a weird interaction or having a different kind of interaction with Arthur Smith, being bored. Arthur Smith saying that he felt bored by Peter Skoronski in the interaction that they had on their visit.
In every answer, he said that Art was just looking at his computer. He's like, "You're so boring. You're boring me with these answers." And then he was on his phone. He's doing something else. But they proceed that in the article by saying, well, some teams kind of went out of their way to put them in tough spots in interviews, put them out of their comfort zone. But that quote comes out, and everybody's like, what the hell is this? Arthur Smith not being a professional? Like, no. They
didn't read the article. They just took the quote that was polarizing, which Art Smith had a weird interaction. And even on the scale of, like, draft interactions, pre-draft interactions.
It's not
didn't
that weird.
Didn't a team ask Des Bryant if his mother was an escort?
Was that Dez that happened? I can't remember. But yeah,
maybe there was some kind of sex working situation. Like, there was a team that asked Des Bryant about his mother in a very, very unflattering light.
Yeah. So even though the draft is over, it's really hard to take a lot from what you hear, especially anonymously, coming out of these team meetings.
No, and the most interesting report that I saw was here. I'm going to read it directly from Jeremy Fowler. It just came out a couple minutes ago. Jeremy Fowler says, "Buck, eat the chip." Coming straight from Jeremy Fowler.
Breaking.
There's
Mage in June on YouTube says, "Escort the chip into your mouth."
Somebody said on YouTube, Mayo Man would have eaten the chip already. Honestly, that's what we should have done. We should have found a way to do the one chip challenge with Will Levis. I think he wants nothing to do with any kind of food related.
I'm sure he's that part of his life is behind him.
Jimmy Wyatt was asking him some fun questions at the end of his draft Zoom about the banana.
Oh, I bet he's sick of hearing about it.
He was clearly like, somebody had clearly gotten in his ear and been like, "Hey, if somebody asks you about this, don't say anything.
Just put it behind you."
Move on.
You know it was brought up in interviews throughout this entire process. Absolutely.
Every time. Hell, it was cited as a reason why people didn't draft him. People don't know what to do with a quarterback who puts mayo in his coffee. What do you mean? He's on the internet.
The dumb thing he did for TikTok, but he is probably having to face questions about it. Probably will for a long time.
All right. The response is overwhelming in the chat. It is time, coming up next, to eat the chip. It is so great This is not funny. I have in front of me the Packy brand One Chip Challenge. Now, why does it say 2022 on it? Was this a phenomenon in 2022, or have you brought me an expired?
I don't think there's an expiration date. It's a chip.
Yeah, no, it's not just a chip. Have you seen what these things are coated in? It's a singular chip, and it comes in a box shaped like a coffin.
Yeah,
I'm holding this up for the audience on Zone TV. I'm shaking it in front of the microphone for those of you listening on terrestrial radio. Bert came in here, and the pep talk that he gave me was, now don't throw up. No one had even presented that to me as a possibility before I committed to doing this.
you're not going to throw up.
Yeah, you're good, dude. You won't have enough time to throw
It's
up.
in an additional case.
Yes, so the crumbs don't fall and any
Do
children.
you have
or
gloves?
dogs
Do you have your
eat 'em.
gloves?
I have my gloves. I will now don the gloves.
You should pour your milk too.
Yeah, because I don't want you to touch the keyboard or mouse or something, and then Mickey come and sit there, and then he get infected by the chip.
Luke Tamburin says, don't lick your lips. What is like this?
You just need to put it in your mouth, chew it, and swallow it.
Yeah, like make it. You're gonna want to make it quick. And keep the milk handy.
All
All right.
Buy me a second. Let me prepare my instruments. I don't know what you two need to do.
You had a whole break to prepare your
Okay,
instrument.
I've been busy writing my last will and
Okay,
testament.
you do your thing. Should we play the poll open while he's consuming it?
I think he should have to put it in his mouth and say, because every time there are polls,
Oh,
he goes
and
he
throw
goes,
it to the polls.
He's like, polls? He has to say polls.
You have to
with
say
a chip in my mouth.
You have to toss to the polls with the chip in your
and
mouth.
then by the time polls is over with, the heat will have sat in. Early onset.
Sat in?
All right, shout out to everybody who bought tickets to this,
Yeah,
by the
no,
way.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing. We're doing this because, well, Lucas, I was going to have to do it anyway. Lucas got out of it because you guys bought 10 tickets to the install.
I've had to suffer today. I've got a mustache on my face.
I think now that we have officially reached the point where this is happening, I think you should just draw the goatee on him too.
Okay.
I think
Where's
now's
the
the time.
Sharpie at?
Do it.
I'll
Do.
hold it.
Why don't you do that for the Zone TV audience? Draw the Sharpie goatee on Lucas to go with his handlebar mustache. Trippin' Titan says my voice is going to change permanently. No more pre-adolescence voice. Pre-adolescence voice. That's more offensive to me to eat this damn chip. I don't-
Come on. Eat the chip.
I'm honestly, like my hands are sweating. I can't open the thing.
Yeah,
Bert,
you're trembling.
Bert, you might have to come in here and open this thing.
He's coming. He's running. He's running.
All right, Bert's going to come in here. I'm pouring milk, and we're not even supposed to have food in the studio.
You got anything to do today?
Yeah. Hover near the toilet for a variety of different reasons, apparently.
Oh, Bert's in there. Bert's in there with a hazmat suit.
How much milk do I need? Like, am I going to have to?
However much your body tells you need.
Oh, God. Just
Careful with that chip, Bert.
Yeah, Bert, don't physically touch it. I don't want you and Cheyenne or your pets to have some kind of lasting repercussions from this.
No, we don't have all day here.
We do have time. We have a minute before you have to hit the poll open and I have to put the thing in my mouth. So I am now the smell, Corey D. Jones says. The comments in here
Eat the chip.
are so concerning about the things that are about to happen to me. And it's not just because it's not because there's like one symptom that everybody's had. No, it's a variety of different things that people are lobbing at me
Casey
right
on
now.
YouTube says, pulled over on the interstate to watch this. 300 people are on the YouTube chat. All right, it's time.
I'm literally sweating. Okay.
One
here
more.
is-
Dave in the YouTube chat says it made him learn Spanish. So some good
You're gonna
things.
come
No,
out
wait. Now
speaking
this
Spanish.
isn't blue. It's green.
Eat the chip, man. Put it. Come on. Eat the chip. Pitch it to polls. Just do it. Just rip the
Eat the
Band-Aid.
chip.
Rip the Band-Aid.
Eat the
Rip
chip.
the Band-Aid. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Did you do it in one swift motion?
Oh,
It's on it.
And now, the polls have to be updated. We've reached a crucial point in the show. It's time to update the polls. Take my hand and get to the chopper. Lucas Panzica will give us the final update. Why am I yelling? It's giving me a headache. But it's only a headache. It's not a tumor. Hasta la vista, baby. I'll be back. Why am I yelling?
Eat the chip. Presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can custom order any new Ford from Two Rivers. They sell below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. How we doing?
Honestly, my puke.
Okay, which Titans wide receiver has the most to prove in 2023? 56% say Traylon Burks, 31% say Kyle Phillips, 11% say Racey McMath, 2% say Colton Dow. It would probably be Burks because Burks has the most pressure on him, right, to be a wide receiver 1 in 2023. Give me some analysis.
He cannot.
He's waving me off.
I feel so bad.
Let's see that tongue. Is that tongue blue? Oh, it's so blue. It's so blue.
It's on fire.
Cyrus says, not his fault, but Traylon Burks was the first rounder. He's the pick to replace AJ. He has to prove that he was the right choice and worth it. The rest were 5th plus round picks that are inconsequential. I wouldn't say they're inconsequential. Buck, your thoughts? He's taking his headset off.
He's gone.
Where are you going?
He's leaving.
Where are you guys? Oh, his eyes are watering. Where are you going? Oh, he's going to get the toilet paper. Name an NFL team with a worse wide receiver room than the Tennessee Titans. Bucket has, I guess that's the Little Giants, the picture that he's put in there. Cyrus says it doesn't exist. Matthias, hope I'm saying that correctly, says Falcons, Packers, Texans are all quite poor, but the Titans take the cake.
This is the worst thing I've ever done.
Oh, no, it's not.
It's terrible.
What's the most ridiculous
bad.
thing you saw from a Swiftie this weekend? Mahogany says dressed up in their era gear while at a Wingstop. Will says lining up to look at a bench in the park. You misspoke earlier. You said that bench has nothing to do with Taylor. That's wrong.
Apologize.
Bleep you.
She used to read in Centennial Park. It's in her song lyrics. It's very special to her. He's drinking the milk.
He's struggling
He
through
is
this.
almost doubled over.
I am.
Do not touch
can't
your
talk
eyes.
to you.
Do not touch your eyes. Which Titans jersey number gives you the most PTSD? Chris says it's number 25, the Super Bowl blown coverage. Puka says 10, Vince Young, Jake Locker, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh, let's come out. Oh, Des Fitzpatrick, excuse me. Ryan Fitzpatrick did not wear 10 with the Titans. Kenneth says between Julio and Woods, the number 2 receiver jersey is haunting me.
Oh, my God, it's on my keyboard.
It's on your keyboard?
Oh, no.
Oh, you're not wearing the gloves?
He took the gloves off.
There was shrapnel.
Slay says touch your eyes.
Oh, my God. My chest is pounding.
If we sell another 10 tickets, Buck will touch his eyes really
He
quick.
will eat another chip. He will eat another chip if we sell 10 tickets right now.
Oh, my God, I can't.
Those are the polls.
It just, enough.
No,
I can't do any more radio.
No.
Tomorrow. What are
You
we doing
got to
tomorrow?
close out the show, Buck. What's going on tomorrow? Trevor Sikkema is going to join us at 10:20, by the way.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He
told
texted
me
me
he
back.
didn't text you back.
He did text me back just now.
Trevor Sikkema tomorrow. Titans prospect breakdown. I love you all, but I hate you so much in this very moment. I'm going to go throw up right now.